Chapter 1. The Last Passenger. The night was thick with mist. The final bus of the day. Its number faded into obscurity. Slowly pulled into a deserted stop on the edge of town. The street was deserted. The lampposts flickered like weary eyes about to shut. Hung, drenched in sweat after a long day of work, hurried toward the bus. He wasn't sure why he'd chosen this route. He had never noticed the number before. But exhaustion dulled his reasoning, and he simply wanted to get home. The bus door creaked open with a long screech. The driver sat silently in his seat, the brim of his cap pulled low, face hidden in darkness. Still running this late, huh? Hung muttered, stepping onto the bus. No reply. The bus interior was dimly lit by a few weak bulbs that flickered on and off. The seats were old, tattered, and gave off a faint odor of mold and dust. There were only a handful of passengers scattered about, strange faces with strange postures. A hunched old woman clutching a ragged bag. A young couple in transparent raincoats, dripping water though the night was bone dry. A gaunt man hugging a small wooden chest, muttering incoherently. Hung sat down near the middle, unease prickling at his skin. The bus jolted forward, its engine groaning like a dying beast. Outside the window, the familiar streets quickly faded, swallowed by fog, and then he realized he could no longer tell where the bus was heading. Chapter 2. The Old Woman's Bag. The bus rattled through the endless fog. Hung shifted in his seat, sensing a strange heaviness in the air. His gaze wandered to the old woman sitting 3 rows ahead. She clutched a tattered cloth bag to her chest as if it were more precious than her own life. Her frail arms trembled, but her eyes, cloudy and pale, glimmered with something strange. The bus hit a bump. The bag jerked violently, as though something inside it had moved. A faint sound seeped out, a muffled sob. Small, thin, unmistakably that of an infant. Hung froze. He leaned forward, straining his ears. Yes, there it was again. A baby's cry. Weak and pitiful. But the old woman only stroked the bag lovingly and whispered, "Sleep, sleep now, don't cry. We're almost there." Hung's scalp tingled. He looked closer. The bag bulged oddly, writhing for a moment before settling again. Another bump. The bag slipped slightly, its opening gaping just enough for Hung to glimpse something inside, small. White, hard, not flesh, but bone. A baby's tiny skull. Hung gasped, gripping the seat tight. The old woman turned her head suddenly, her cloudy eyes locking onto his. Her lips curved into a cracked smile. "You saw, didn't you?" she croaked. Chapter 3. The Wooden Chest. Trying to avert his eyes from the old woman, Hung looked toward the back of the bus. There, the gaunt man still clutched his wooden chest. His eyes darted wildly, lips moving as he muttered incoherent phrases. Rocking back and forth. Thump, thump. The chest jerked suddenly. Something inside pounded against the lid. The man laughed, high-pitched and broken, tightening his grip. "You can't get out. You can't. You belong to me?" The chest shuddered harder. Thump, 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 as though something alive was trapped within. A long crack split across the lid, and through it seeped a faint red glow. Hung's heart skipped a beat. He could swear he heard whispers leaking out from the chest. Countless voices overlapping, pleading, screaming. The man kissed the chest, eyes feverish. "They'll never take you from me, never." Hung shrank into his seat, dread washing over him. This wasn't just a chest, it was a prison for something unspeakable. Chapter 4. The Couple in Raincoats. The bus lurched, groaning loudly as if struggling uphill. A foul smell began to seep through the air, damp, fishy, like a swamp. Hung turned, eyes catching the young couple in transparent raincoats. Drops of water fell from them, dripping onto the floor. Oddly, the water left no wet stains, it simply vanished into thin air. The wife's long black hair clung to her face, water streaming down her pale fingers. Her skin was shriveled, pruned like flesh soaked too long. Every so often her fingers twitched, producing faint cracks as if bones were splintering. The husband sat rigid, head tilted toward Hung. The raincoat clung to his skin, revealing a body bloated and gray. Patches of moss clung to him, exuding a nauseating stench of decay. The wife slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were pale, clouded with bloodshot veins. Her lips parted, and a stream of black water poured out, dripping down her chin. Her husband placed a skeletal hand over hers. Beneath the raincoat, his flesh had sloughed away, leaving white bones slick with rot. Together, they turned to look at Hung, mouths curving into chilling smiles. A gargling sound bubbled from their throats, like water swirling at the bottom of a well. "Come down, come with us," the wife whispered hoarsely, her voice like it rose from underwater. Hung gripped his seat, body trembling. He dared not move. Something told him if he stood, they would lunge at him. The old woman chuckled softly, her bag twitching violently. The man with the chest giggled louder, muttering deliriously. The lights flickered, then flared, and in that flash, Hung saw it clearly. Beneath the transparent raincoats, the couple's bodies were rotting, flesh sloughing off, spilling black water from within. Hung clenched his jaw, closing his eyes tightly. But he knew, this was only the beginning. Chapter 5. The news broadcast. The bus roared on into the fog. Hung sat stiff, his breath shallow, heart pounding against his ribs. Suddenly, a crackling sound broke the silence. A dusty old radio near the driver's seat sputtered to life, emitting static before a distorted voice emerged. Breaking news. November 15th, a tragic accident. Bus number 999 lost control on its way back to the city, veered off into the swamp. All passengers and the driver perished, no survivors. The voice faded, replaced by harsh static. Hung's blood ran cold. He turned toward the other passengers, the old woman, the couple, the man with the chest. One thought pierced his mind. These weren't passengers, they were victims. His chest tightened, breath quickening. Every detail fit: the drowned couple, the grieving old woman, the man clutching ashes of the dead. From the front, the driver's gravelly voice rumbled like grinding metal. "You are all my passengers, no one escapes, all must ride to the final stop." The bus shook violently. The lights died. Darkness smothered the cabin. Only the sound remained: laughter, gargles, whispers, and the pounding inside the wooden chest. And in that suffocating dark, Hung realized the truth. He had boarded the bus of the dead. Chapter 6. The window. The bus rattled on through the endless fog. Hung sat frozen, his palms slick with sweat. The stale air inside was suffocating. Suddenly, a faint sound caught his ear. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the window right beside him. His breath hitched. Slowly, he turned. At first, nothing but mist. But then, fingers. A hand pressed against the glass from outside. Its skin was pale, bloated, water dripping from blackened nails. Tap, tap, tap. The hand tapped rhythmically, as if calling to him. Hung's stomach churned. The bus was moving fast. Yet that hand remained right beside his window. Keeping pace, he leaned back, heart hammering. Then the fog thinned, just enough for a face to appear. A face bloated and white, eyes bulging, mouth gaping. Water and mud spilled from its lips. It slammed against the glass. Eyes locked onto Hung. "Down, come down," the voice rasped. Muffled through the glass, Hung screamed and jerked away. But when he blinked, the face was gone. The window was clean, reflecting only his terrified expression. The old woman cackled softly from the front. The couple gurgled in unison, and the man with the chest muttered louder. The driver's hoarse voice growled, "No looking back. The window shows only what you truly fear." Hung buried his face in his hands, trembling violently. Chapter 7. The driver. The bus roared deeper into the mist. Hung clenched the seat, mustering courage to glance at the driver. The man sat motionless, shoulders hunched, his cap pulled low, but something about his stillness was unnatural. Wrong. Then he turned slightly. Beneath the cap, there was no face, just emptiness. A hollow void where features should have been. From that void seeped a thick, black fluid, dripping onto the steering wheel, sizzling like acid. Hung's stomach lurched, his throat tightened, no sound coming out. The faceless driver spoke, his voice a grating rasp. "Tickets? All must show their tickets?" One by one, the passengers raised their hands. The old woman held up a torn, filthy slip of paper. The couple each clutched a soggy ticket dripping black water. The man with the chest pressed his ticket against the wood, whispering feverishly. The driver's head tilted. "And you?" Hung's blood froze. He fumbled, and to his horror, found a crumpled ticket in his pocket. He didn't remember buying it. On its surface, smeared in red ink, 9991 way, midnight. He clutched it with shaking hands. The driver let out a guttural laugh. Deep and cold. Then you belong to this bus. Chapter 8. The Chant. The bus plunged into darkness. All around, voices began to rise, a low, humming chant. The old woman muttered as she stroked her bag. The couple swayed, their lips moving in unison. The man with the chest rocked back and forth, his whisper turning into a chant. The words were indecipherable, ancient, a jumble of sounds that gnawed at the mind. But the rhythm grew stronger, louder, filling the bus like a funeral hymn. Hung clamped his hands over his ears. But it didn't help. The chant drilled into his skull, vibrating in his bones. His vision blurred. The chest at the back began to thump harder. Bang, bang, bang. As if joining in, the bag in the old woman's arms wriggled violently, emitting faint cries. The couple's eyes rolled back, water gushing from their mouths as they chanted faster. Hung felt his body sway against his will, his lips trembling as though they wanted to join in. He bit his tongue, tasting blood, forcing himself to resist. "Stop, stop it," he shouted. But his voice was drowned out. The driver's hoarse laughter rose above the chant. "Sing, passengers, sing your way to the final stop." Chapter 9. The Break in Reality. The bus jolted violently. Hung slammed against the window, gasping for air. Outside, the fog tore apart, and for a moment, he saw it. A swamp stretched endlessly, black water bubbling, bloated corpses floating face down, trees twisted like claws, and scattered among the muck. Countless buses lay half submerged, rusted, broken, their windows filled with lifeless faces staring out. His stomach heaved. It wasn't just one accident. Dozens, hundreds, a cycle repeating over and over. The bus roared forward, wheels grinding as though struggling against unseen hands pulling it down. Shadows rose from the swamp, clawing at the bus. Pale faces pressed against the windows, mouths opening and closing, chanting silently. Hung screamed, banging on the glass, "Let me out, let me out." But the driver growled, voice like stone grinding, "There is no out, only the road, only the swamp, only the end." The vision blurred, swallowed again by fog. Chapter 10. The Swamp of Death. The bus slowed, creaking ominously. Outside the window, the fog thinned, revealing a vast swamp. Black water stretched endlessly, exuding a stench of rot. The bus rolled to the edge, its tires crunching gravel. Hung stood, panicked. "No, don't go further. We'll sink. Let me off." No one answered. The driver sat motionless, faceless. The old woman chuckled, stroking her bag. The couple sat in silence, eyes fixed on the swamp. The man with the chest muttered frantically, his whispers turning into shouts. The bus stopped. Silence. Then, splash, splash, splash. Figures rose from the swamp. Dozens, then hundreds. Bloated, waterlogged corpses, skin peeling, eyes white and bulging. They trudged toward the bus, water dripping from their bodies. They pressed their hands against the glass, banging in unison. Thud, thud, thud. The windows shook, cracks spider webbing across them. The chest at the back rattled violently, glowing red through its cracks. The man laughed hysterically, screaming, they've come for us." Crash. One window shattered. Black water gushed inside, freezing cold, filling the bus. Hands reached in, rotting, clawing, desperate. The lights flickered out. In the dark, only the sound remained, pounding fists, splashing water, and the hollow whispers of the drowned. Hung realized with dawning terror, the bus had returned to the place it had perished, and the dead were coming back on board. Chapter 11. When the glass shatters. Bang, bang, bang. The bus shook violently under the assault of countless hands pounding on its sides. The frame screeched, metal straining as though about to collapse. Hung clutched the seat, sweat pouring down his face. A sharp cracking sound rang out, crick, crack, like thin ice splitting beneath weight. The side window bore a spiderweb of fractures, spreading with each strike of a gray, bloated hand pressed against it. Black sludge seeped through the cracks, dripping onto the seat, reeking of decay. Outside, the swamp was alive. Pale faces pressed against the windows, eyes bulging, mouths gaping wide to spew water and mud. Some smashed their rotting noses against the glass, smearing it with filth. The old woman laughed, clutching her twitching bag tighter. They've come for their kin. The couple in raincoats rose together, water dripping from their clothes, eyes shining with eerie joy. The wife whispered, they're calling us. At the back, the man with the chest cackled wildly. The box shook violently, its lid cracked open, a red glow flooding out. Inside, something hammered, desperate to break free. Crash! The glass burst inward, shards flying. Black swamp water poured in, rising quickly around Hung's ankles. Rotting arms thrust inside, clawing, scratching the seats with nails like knives. Faces followed, ghastly, eyeless, moaning with bubbling throats. Hung screamed, retreating. His heart thundered as corpses climbed inside. Their stench choked the air, a wave of death flooding the bus. The old woman stretched out her arms as though to welcome them. The couple walked toward the broken window. The man with the chest roared, open wide, let us all return. The bus rocked violently. Water rose to Hung's calves, freezing, numbing. He understood, the bus was no longer shelter. It was a tomb, and the dead had come to seal it. Chapter 12. The dead pour in. The black water surged, rising steadily. The shattered window allowed corpse after corpse to climb aboard. First, a woman with long, drenched hair and a swollen purple face. Mud dripped from her hollow eye sockets. Her bloated arms clawed at the seats as she hissed. Behind her, a small child crawled through, skin blue and shriveled, eyes pale and unblinking. Then came others, men, women, old, young, twisted and mangled, their bodies swollen from drowning. The bus filled with their grotesque choir, gurgles, rattles, bones creaking. The temperature plummeted, each breath visible in white mist. The old woman clutched her bag, laughing. You've come back, I saved your place. Her bag split wider, a gray little hand inside stretching toward the newcomers. The corpses groaned in response. The couple staggered forward, water streaming from their mouths. They smiled faintly as though reuniting with loved ones. At the back, the man raised his chest high, the lid snapping open. Red smoke poured out. Inside something writhed, its burning eyes glaring. Hung froze. The water climbed to his knees, cold as blades. He saw a massive drowned man lurch toward him, belly bloated, skin splitting, black water spilling out. The man's eyes were dead white, his jaw unhinged grotesquely. From his throat bubbled words. Down with us? Hung shrieked, stumbling backward. He knew there was no escape. Every window was blocked, every seat surrounded. His choices had narrowed to two: surrender, or fight against the impossible. A whisper rang inside his head, alien and cold. If you don't run now, you will no longer be you. Chapter 13. The door that shouldn't exist. The dead pressed closer. The water rose higher, the stench unbearable. Hung's frantic eyes searched, and stopped at the back wall of the bus. There, where there should only have been solid metal, he saw faint outlines of a door. No handle, no hinges, just a thin glowing seam, light spilling through. Hope sparked in his chest. He staggered toward it, fighting the sucking pull of swamp water around his legs. Rotten hands clawed at him, but he pushed forward, clutching seats for support. The drowned noticed. Their heads snapped toward him, mouths bubbling in rage. A bloated corpse lunged, grabbing his shoulder. The touch was ice. Hung tore free, stumbling closer to the back wall. The man with the chest blocked his path, eyes wild. No one leaves. We must all stay together. He raised the chest high, its lid gaping open. Red fumes gushed out, a shape writhing within, eyes blazing. The old woman croaked. That door isn't for the living, boy. The couple lurched forward, water pouring from their jaws. Shadows closed in, hands clutched, faces pressed near. The seam of light pulsed. The invisible pull beckoned. Hung gritted his teeth and lunged, slamming his hands onto the door. Chapter 14. Memories of blood and water. Cold shot through his body like knives. The door yawned open, swallowing him whole. He plummeted, ears ringing, vision spinning. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer on the bus. He stood in a vast swamp under a crimson sky. Black water bubbled, reeking, and before him, sinking into the mire, was a bus. The same bus. It tilted, windows shattering, screams poured from within, arms flailed. clawing for air. Children shrieked. Metal screeched as it crumpled. Hung's chest tightened. He realized he was witnessing the accident. The night bus 999 had plunged here years ago. He saw their faces. The old woman sobbed, clutching her bag, dragging it into the water. The couple embraced, eyes wide as they drowned together. The man in the vest clung to his chest, roaring with grief. They were the very passengers on the bus with him. A voice boomed from the blood-red sky, low and grating. They all died here. And you took the ticket to join them. Hung spun. The driver stood behind him. The brim of his cap hit a hollow void. From the void poured black blood, dripping into the swamp. You cannot escape. Hands erupted from the muck, seizing Hung's legs, yanking him down. Freezing sludge flooded his chest, choking him. The screams of the drowned, the groaning of metal, the surge of water, all converged. And he understood. The door hadn't led to freedom. It had opened the memory of death. And now, it was dragging him into it. Chapter 15. The one not fully claimed. The sludge reached his waist. Hands dug into his flesh, nails raking, pulling him deeper. Hung flailed, howling, but their grip only tightened. Faces rose around him, pale and swollen, mouths chanting, "Down, down with us?" The water rose to his chest, ice searing his lungs. He gasped, ready to give in, when suddenly, another figure lunged toward him. It was the man in the black vest. He threw the chest aside and grabbed Hung's shoulders, yelling hoarsely, "Don't let them drag you down. Once you sink, you'll never return." With surprising strength, he pulled against the tide. The corpses shrieked, thrashing, but the man held firm, veins bulging, face contorted with effort. Hung gasped, Why help me?" The man laughed bitterly, blood spilling from his mouth. "Because once you go under, you'll become like us. At least, one of us must carry the memory out." The chest thrashed behind him, its lid flung open. A black hand clawed out. Screeching, he slammed the lid shut, blood spraying from the seams. "Run, the door's still open. Don't look back," he bellowed. Summoning the last of his strength, he shoved Hung free. The corpses wailed, clutching wildly, but their grip slipped. Hung stumbled toward the glowing door, lungs burning, legs weak. Behind him, the man still wrestled the chest, his eyes fierce, his voice roaring over the chaos. "Go, before you lose yourself too." Hung sobbed, staggering toward the light, the sound of screams and splashing fading behind him. Chapter 16. The Shared Nightmare. Light engulfed Hung as he plunged through the door. He tumbled endlessly, every bone in his body rattling, ears deafened by a roar of static. Then silence. He opened his eyes. He was no longer in the swamp, nor on the bus. Instead, he stood in a warped, boundless space. The ground beneath him was gray and soft, undulating like living flesh. Above, the sky bent unnaturally, as though shattered glass had been stretched and stitched together. The air reeked of rot, heavy and choking. And then came the voices. Whispers, sobs, laughter, screams, all at once. Echoing from every direction. Shapes emerged from the gray mist. The passengers. But they weren't as he remembered them. The old woman's face fused with the gaunt man's body. The couple melded into one grotesque figure with two heads sharing one torso. Dozens of drowned faces blended into abominations that shuffled toward him. The ground pulsed beneath his feet, and a flood of memories not his own surged into his mind. The screams of children, the crush of metal, the taste of swamp water filling lungs, the clawing hands of the dying. Hung clutched his skull, shrieking, "No, those aren't mine. I don't belong here." A chorus of voices answered as one. "We are all one. You cannot escape. You boarded the bus. You belong." The ground split open, hands bursting forth, grasping for him. Above, the crimson sky lit with thousands of pale faces staring down, their mouths opening in laughter and weeping. And far away, the man in the vest appeared again, clutching his chest. His voice echoed like a whisper from a deep well. "If you want to escape, you must walk through the shared memory. But know this, the price is steep." The nightmare pressed closer. The fused monstrosities lurched forward, chanting, drowning him in their grotesque choir. Hung's heart sank. He realized this was the center of it all, the heart of the curse. And only by enduring it could he hope to find an exit. Chapter 17. The Dead's Memories. The ground split wider. Black smoke surged upward, coiling around Hung, dragging him down. His mind spun as he was hurled into a vortex of visions. When he opened his eyes, he was seated inside the bus, yet not the cursed bus, but the very one from that fateful night years ago. The crash. The passengers were alive, talking, breathing. The atmosphere was heavy, charged with dread. Directly before him sat the old woman. She clutched her ragged bag, rocking it gently. From inside came a faint whimper, like a baby's cry. She whispered, "Sleep, my child, we'll be home soon." The bus jolted violently. The bag slipped. A tiny, brittle skull rolled out onto the floor. The old woman screamed, lunging after it, hugging it desperately even as the bus careened out of control. Water burst in through shattered windows, swallowing her cries. The vision dissolved. Now he saw the couple. They held each other tightly, whispering promises of a new beginning. Then came the crash. Water rushed in, swallowing their words. The husband pushed his wife upward, shouting for her to breathe, but both sank, eyes wide in terror, their hands never parting even as death took them. The vision dissolved again. Now the man in the vest appeared, clutching his chest. Inside was a funeral urn. He whispered hoarsely, "I promised I would bring you home." The crash engulfed him. Water surged, filling his lungs, blood spilling from his mouth. Yet still he clung to the chest until he sank into the black. The memories faded. Hung collapsed, gasping. Before him appeared all their faces again, twisted, drowned, yet watching him. Their voices merged. "You've seen, you've learned, now you cannot leave us." Hands erupted from the ground, clawing once more. Chapter 18. The New Passenger. The earth shuddered, fractures spreading wide. Hands clawed up from below, seizing Hung, dragging him down. The old woman loomed, clutching her skull. The couple stared, mouths dripping black water. The man with the chest grinned through blood. Their voices rang as one. "You've seen our deaths. Now you must join them." Hung screamed, thrashing, but as he looked around, horror struck him. He saw himself. Another Hung sat among the passengers in the original bus, eyes wide, face pale, and the others treated him as though he had always been there. "No, that's not me," he gasped. Yet the memory self screamed, drowning with the others as the bus plunged into the swamp. Hung clutched his head, howling, "No, that isn't me. I don't belong here." The chorus of voices shrieked back, "You boarded. You cannot escape. You are one of us." The space fractured. Shadows fell from the crimson sky, their faces pale, mouths spewing water. Hung looked down at his own hands and froze. His skin was paling, wrinkling, oozing black water. His fingers stretched, nails blackening. "No, no, I'm still alive. I have to live," he cried. The driver's hollow voice cut through the storm. Every ticket must reach its final stop. None return. Hands closed in, and Hung saw his own face staring back from the memory. The two of them merging as one. Chapter 19. The Ticket 999. The nightmare swirled around him. Voices shrieking, hands clawing. Hung clung to one thing in his grip, the ticket. It burned red hot in his palm. The number 999 glowing like molten metal. He screamed, trying to throw it away, but it had fused to his flesh, veins bulging as blood seeped into the paper. The passengers' voices thundered, "No one boards by chance. The ticket chooses. You have held it. You are already dead." Hung remembered, the ticket hadn't been bought. It was given to him, slipped into his hand by a faceless stranger at midnight. A whisper had accompanied it, "It's your turn." He collapsed, shaking his head. "No, it can't be." The ticket tore on its own, blood spraying not from paper but from his own veins. The blood swirled into glowing letters that floated in the air. 999, the final seat for the final soul. The old woman laughed, clutching her bones. "You are the last. The bus is full. Now we may depart together." The couple hissed. "Every century, the bus returns. It waits for the last seat. You are that soul." The man in the vest bared his teeth. "You cannot resist. When the bus is full, we depart and drag more into the cycle." The sky cracked open, shadows raining down. All bore crumpled tickets in their hands, eyes blank, mouths leaking black water. Hung wailed, trying to rip the ticket free, but the numbers etched deeper into his arm, glowing. The driver's voice rumbled, "No ticket is destroyed. It can only be passed on. If you wish to escape, give it to another." And in that instant, Hung understood. The curse of Bus 999 was not random. It was passed, one victim to the next. Chapter 20. The Ticket's Curse. The warped realm convulsed, faces screaming from the sky. Hung collapsed, staring at the ticket seared into his hand. It pulsed like a heart, binding him. The driver's voice grated. The ticket cannot vanish. It transfers. You hold the final seat. Now choose. Die with us, or pass it to another. The old woman croaked. I passed mine once. I lived for decades more. Do the same. The couple whispered. We too were tricked. The ticket shoved into our hands. You will do it too. There is no other way. The man in the vest laughed hollowly. I gave mine to the one I loved to survive. But I lost her forever. What will you sacrifice? Hung clutched his head, sobbing. Their words echoed like daggers. He screamed. No, I won't kill someone else. I won't. The swamp bubbled. The bus groaned. The driver snarled. There is no third path. Transfer or perish. And you have only one more stop. Suddenly the bus lurched, throwing Hung against the seat. The door creaked open. Through the mist stood a bus stop. Under its flickering light, a weary young man waited, clutching an old backpack. He looked up, startled, at Bus 999 before him. The driver's whisper slithered through the air. This is your chance. Hand him the ticket, and you walk free. The passengers turned to watch. Hung stared at the glowing number seared into his flesh, trembling violently. The choice was before him, his own life, or another's. Chapter 21. The bus returns. The door creaked open, and icy air spilled in. Hung stared outside, heart frozen. At the lonely bus stop stood a young man, thin and weary, clutching a battered backpack, his eyes lifted toward the glowing bus, confusion on his tired face. Inside, every passenger turned to Hung. Their eyes gleamed in the dark. Waiting, the old woman whispered, smiling through broken teeth. Just pass it on, child, it's easy. Give him the seat. The couple in raincoats leaned forward, their white eyes unblinking. We were tricked once, too. That's how the bus moves on. You will do it as well. The man with the chest grinned faintly, his voice rasping. I gave mine to the one I loved most. I survived, but she never returned. What will you pay to live? Hung trembled, sweat streaming. His hand burned with the glowing ticket. The number 999 etched into his flesh. The driver's voice rumbled, sharp as a blade. Decide. One seat remains. Give it, or die with us. The bus shook violently, water sloshing around Hung's ankles. The passengers pressed closer, their faces twisted with hunger. The young man outside stepped toward the bus, his expression blank, almost hopeful. Hung staggered forward, holding out his burning hand. His throat ached, tears streaming down his cheeks. He could end it, he could live. But then, the young man's eyes met his. They were tired, innocent, full of hope, eyes that reminded him of his own before this nightmare began. Hung froze, his chest ached. Images of the others flashed before him, the old woman clinging to her bag, the couple drowning together, the man clutching ashes. All had once been human, once made the same choice. He sobbed, clutching the seat. No, I can't, I won't. The passengers roared in fury, their voices rising in a grotesque chorus. Fool, pass it, do it, no one escapes. The driver snarled, his faceless void glowing red. Choose, now. With a scream, Hung clutched the ticket tight to his chest, crying out, No, I will not condemn another. If I must die, I'll die with you. The bus exploded with shrieks. The old woman tore at her hair. The couple thrashed, water spewing. The man with the chest howled with rage. The door slammed shut. The bus roared back into the night, dragging Hung with it toward the abyss. Chapter 22. The Final Stop. The bus howled through the fog, its engine screaming. Hung collapsed to the floor, clutching the ticket. It glowed brighter, scorching his flesh, binding him. The passengers shrieked, clawing at him. The old woman's bag burst, skeletal hands reaching out. The couple vomited black water, flooding the aisle. The man with the chest cackled, his box blazing red. The driver's voice rumbled, You chose, then you shall ride to the end. The bus tilted, plunging into a tunnel of blood-red light. The walls crawled with pale faces, their eyes blank, mouths moving in unison. Their screams and laughter filled the tunnel. Guiding the way, Water surged into the bus, rising to Hung's chest. Rotting hands clawed at him, but each time they touched the ticket, they recoiled, hissing. The curse was his now, binding him tighter than chains. He screamed, tears blinding him. The number 999 pulsed in his palm, fusing with his heartbeat. The driver laughed hoarsely, the sound like rusted iron grinding. This is the end, not life, not death, only the ride. The tunnel narrowed, swallowing the bus whole, and Hung realized the truth. Holding the ticket did not mean death. It meant becoming part of the bus forever. Chapter 23. The Last Stop. The bus thundered deeper into the crimson tunnel. The lights flickered, the walls groaned. The passengers lunged at Hung, shrieking. He clutched the ticket, sobbing, refusing to let go. Outside, faces lined the tunnel walls, thousands upon thousands, screaming silently. The bus careened toward a gaping black void at the tunnel's end. The driver roared. To the final stop, the bus plunged into the abyss. Agony ripped through Hung's body. The ticket fused into his skin, burning the number 999 permanently into his palm. His veins glowed crimson, pulsing with the bus's rhythm. The passengers laughed, howled, and wept, their voices blending with his. And then, silence. Hung opened his eyes. He was seated in a bus seat. The lights flickered overhead. Around him sat the same passengers, silent now. Watching him, the driver's voice whispered, "You are one of us." Outside the window, the world blurred by like a dream. Streets, people, cities, untouchable, unreachable. He could only watch. Hung understood. He was no longer alive, but not dead either. He had become an eternal passenger of bus 999. Chapter 24. The Eternal Passenger. The bus glided through a foggy nowhere. Hung sat stiff in his seat, the brand of 999 glowing on his palm. The old woman clutched her bag, smiling faintly. The couple sat still, dripping. The man with the chest murmured to his box. Hung pressed his face to the window. Outside, he glimpsed the real world, streets, houses, strangers waiting at bus stops. But all looked distant, warped, as though seen through water. He pounded the glass, screaming, "Please, help me, I'm still here." No one turned. To the living, the bus did not exist. The driver's rasp seeped from the front. "You boarded, you carry the ticket, you belong only to us now." The bus sped up, leaving the world behind, swallowed by endless mist. And at some distant stop, unseen by him, another crumpled ticket appeared in the hand of an unsuspecting soul. The curse would continue. Chapter 25. The Waiting Passenger. A cold night. Wind whispered through an empty street. At a lonely bus stop, a thin young man stood under the flickering lamp, clutching a worn backpack. His watch read 12 a.m. "Where's the last bus?" he muttered. The street was silent. Then, through the mist, faint lights appeared. A bus. It creaked closer, its headlights dim, paint peeling. On its front glowed a number, 999. The young man frowned, uneasy, but the bus halted before him. The door opened with a long screech. Icy air rushing out. Inside, the cabin glowed faintly. Rows of seats stretched back, and in one of them, he saw someone. A young man, pale as death, slumped against the window, his eyes locked with the boy's, brimming with despair. The boy shivered, frozen. The driver's rasp called from the front, "There is room, step aboard." The boy's foot shifted forward, as though pulled by an invisible force. His hand reached for the rail, but the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The bus roared away, vanishing into the mist. The boy staggered back, gasping. The street was silent again. He sat heavily on the bench, heart hammering. The image of that pale face at the window seared into his mind. And then he felt it. In his jacket pocket, his trembling fingers pulled out a crumpled slip of paper. A ticket. 999 one way, midnight. From far off in the mist, an engine growled. The bus would return. Chapter 26. The ticket in his pocket. Morning light seeped through the cracked window of the young man's rented room. He stirred awake, his mind still heavy. The memory of last night haunted him, the eerie bus, the pale passenger at the window, the door slamming shut. He shook his head. Just exhaustion, just my imagination. He grabbed his worn jacket, but as he slid his hand into the pocket, he froze. His fingers brushed something thin, dry, He pulled it out, and his heart stopped. A bus ticket. Crumpled. Yellowed. Its edges scorched. Red ink scrawled across it. 999 midnight, one way. The boy trembled. I never bought this. He tried to throw it away. But the moment he moved, the ticket burned hot, fusing to his palm. Blood trickled from his skin, seeping into the paper. A voice whispered in his mind, hollow and deep, "It's your turn, prepare. Bus 999 will return." He collapsed, gasping, clutching his chest. When he looked again, the ticket was gone. Only a faint burn mark of the number remained on his palm. No, it's not real, it can't be real. That night, at 12 a.m., he stood again at the stop. The mist thickened, an engine growled in the distance. Through the fog, headlights appeared. The bus, it screeched to a halt before him. The door swung open, icy breath spilling out. Inside, the cabin glowed faintly. And there, slumped at the window, was the pale young man from the night before. His dead eyes met the boy's. Filled with silent warning, the boy staggered back, but the whisper returned, curling through his skull. "Bored? You already hold the ticket?" His legs moved against his will. One step, then another. Chapter 27. Boarding the bus. The engine roared like a beast. The boy stood paralyzed at the bus's door. On the front display glowed, 999 to 0HOO. The steps loomed before him. His chest heaved, breath shallow. He wanted to run, but invisible hands tugged him forward. "Get on," the whisper pressed. Shaking, he climbed the steps. The door slammed shut behind him. The cabin was dim, the air thick with rot and dampness. Seats lined the bus, tattered, stained. He saw them, the old woman, clutching her ragged bag, smiling faintly. The couple in transparent raincoats, dripping steadily, eyes glassy. The gaunt man in a black vest, hugging his wooden chest, muttering incoherently. And at the far side window, his pale reflection of the night before. Pressing a hand against the glass, the boy shivered violently. He dropped into a seat near the door, clutching his backpack like a shield. The driver's rasp rumbled from the front. "Sit, the journey begins." The engine roared. The bus lurched forward into the mist. The old woman chuckled. The couple gurgled. The man with the chest giggled, the wood box shaking in his arms. The boy pressed his forehead to his knees, whispering desperately, "No, no, I can't be here." But the wheels rolled. The ride had begun. Chapter 28. Reflections in the glass. The bus hurtled deeper into the fog. The boy dared a glance outside. Nothing, only endless blackness. He exhaled shakily, but then he noticed the glass. A reflection stared back, not his own. Its skin was pale, lips stretched in a grotesque grin. Its eyes glowed red. It mouthed words he couldn't hear. But its smile widened. The boy blinked rapidly. His own reflection should have returned. But the thing stayed. It blinked when he didn't. He gasped, stumbling back. The reflection tapped on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Cracks began to spread across the pane. The old woman hissed softly, "Stare too long, and it will take your soul." The boy ripped his eyes away, shaking violently. But in the corner of his vision, the reflection still mouthed silently. This time, he heard it. "You boarded, you will never leave." The couple gurgled laughter, spewing water. The man with the chest muttered faster, eyes wild. The boy clutched his head, screaming, "Stop, stop." But the reflection only grinned wider, its hands pressing harder against the glass. Chapter 29. When the reflection steps out, the glass groaned under the pounding. Cracks spider-webbed outward. With a sharp crack, a pale hand burst through. Dripping black water, it clawed onto the seat. The boy screamed, stumbling back. From the window, his reflection began to crawl out, limbs contorting, body dripping sludge. It rose, identical to him yet warped, skin ashen, eyes glowing red, smile torn wide. The passengers fell silent, watching eagerly. The doppelganger hissed in his own voice, "You boarded, you stay, I'll take your place." It lunged, icy hands seizing his throat. The boy gagged, choking, the cold burning his veins. The old woman cackled, "It comes, your shadow comes." The couple swayed in rhythm, gurgling. The man with the chest grinned, rocking. The bus rocked violently, lights flickering. The driver rasped, "One true passenger, one shadow." Only one may remain. The boy clawed at the hands crushing his throat, gasping, "No, I'm real, I'm real." He rammed his forehead into the doppelganger's face. Both toppled to the floor. Thrashing, black sludge splattered across the aisle. The bus shook like a storm. The fight had begun, him against himself. Chapter 30. The True Passenger. The cabin convulsed, lights flashing wildly. The boy wrestled with his double, their faces twisted in identical screams. The doppelganger shrieked, "You are nothing. I'm the real one. You'll vanish." The boy roared back, "No, I'm alive. I am me." They grappled, rolling across the floor. The shadow's flesh split, oozing sludge, but its strength was inhuman. The driver's voice rumbled, "One seat left. One passenger survives." The boy clenched his teeth, summoning all his strength. With a final scream, he clamped his hands around the shadow's throat and slammed it down. The shadow writhed, screeching, its grin twisting. "You fool, we are all just shadows, all of us on this bus." Its body dissolved into a torrent of black sludge, sinking into the floor. The boy gasped, collapsing. His palm burned, the number 999 blazing bright. It pulsed with his heartbeat, branding him. Outside, the fog parted. He glimpsed his city, streets, lights, people. The bus slowed, a stop appeared, but the driver rasped, "Not for you. For the next one." The door creaked open. The world outside moved on. Unaware, someone new would step forward. The boy bowed his head, tears spilling. He had survived, but survival meant damnation. The bus roared again, vanishing into the dark, carrying him as its newest eternal passenger.